Hello, back again today. I just reading another article, yet another one on the pile that is seemingly a never-ending pile of these kinds of articles where another congressman was threatened or his family was threatened with violence or death or whatever because of the president's policy on immigration and other things. Um, like I say, it just seems like this never ends. I mean, you get one side making threats against the other side and vice versa, and it's just getting so out of control. I mean, a few weeks ago, a guy in Florida was arrested because he threatened a Republican congressman's kids over, like I say, Donald Trump's immigration policy. You got Maxine Waters just throwing all kinds of hatred at the conservatives, saying, oh, push back on them, get a group around them, let them know that, their policies aren't wanted. And it doesn't matter if they're, an actual politician or whatnot. She even wanted, her supporters to gang up on White House staffers. I mean, this is just getting crazy. People need to, get their heads out of their ass and just start thinking with their brains for a change. Stop listening to the hate, the vitriol, everything that's coming from the conservatives, the liberals, and just think for yourself for a minute. Get off your social media, get off your SJW high horse, whatever issue you've got, you know, get it out of your head, think for a minute, and stop tossing all this nonsense around. Because this is just getting out of hand. It's getting ridiculous. you there was the shooting, I think it was last year, Bernie Sanders supporter, opened fire on a impromptu baseball game between some Republican congressmen. One was seriously wounded. I know, what was it, 2011, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was shot by a would-be assailant. I don't know if that was actually politically motivated at the time. I know the shooter had, plenty of mental health issues. It was just chalked up to, him being mentally unstable at the time and, should have never even been able to buy a gun in the first place because of his mental health issues. But this kind of hatred going both ways is just, like I say, it's just getting out of control. We need to rein this crap in, and get, get a hold of yourself. If you know somebody that's got so much hatred towards the other side, you know, get a hold of them. If you need to, grab them by the shoulders and just say, what the heck is wrong with you? Think for a minute, get some common sense in your head. And when I say get some common sense, I mean get some common sense. Because there's people out there that say, oh, we need, this common sense, that, and then they don't have any common sense. They go off the deep end. Get control of yourself, get control of your friends if you need to, and just stop with this whole, throwing hate and whatnot, at one side or the other, because all it's going to do is just bring the hate right back around. It's just one vicious circle. There's no good that can come from this. There's no arguments that are going to be won using this kind of mentality. And everybody just needs to calm down. Last week there was the whole situation with Maxine Waters where the Oath Keepers, they're a conservative group, they were going to protest outside her office. So a bunch of people show up in retaliation, and in the end, the Oath Keepers canceled their little protest, and so it's just, liberal supporters outside her office chanting and raving and saying, we don't want this kind of hatred and whatnot. Well, look in the mirror there, because you're preaching the same kind of hatred that some of these right-wing groups are preaching. So you're no better than they are. And then these protesters go so far as to stop a vehicle on the street, force open the doors because the occupants decided to have an argument, and then they try to assault the occupants before they drive away. And in the end, these protesters grabbed a flag, an American flag that was flying on a pole or whatever on the back of this vehicle, and they proceeded to stomp on it and burn it. And you've got, and while this is all going on, there's individuals in the crowd that are being interviewed by news outlets and whatnot. And you got one guy who said he was a union worker, which I'm not quite sure how he's not working. It's the middle of the week. Why aren't you at work, buddy? He's saying, we need to stop these violent hate groups and whatnot, and yet, the group he's a part of is doing the exact same thing he says we need to be working against. So, I mean, I don't know how these groups can go on preaching what they preach and not see that they're just being so massively hypocritical. I just don't get why they can't see that what they're preaching is exactly the kind of thing that they're doing in the end. Same goes for a lot of the protests that happened, over the years in California, where conservative individuals want to hold I don't know, like a talking session or hold a convention or something like that. Maybe not exactly a convention, but they want to hold a speech at some California college, and then the college's liberal groups are all up in arms about, well, we can't have them here because they talk hate speech and whatnot, and that goes against our beliefs, and we need to shut that down, all the while they're screaming about freedom of speech. You want to limit somebody else's freedom of speech, yet you don't want to do anything to limit yourself. It's nothing but hypocrisy. One side versus the other. Both sides are out of their minds, and it's just stupid. It's dumb, and people need, if you're a sane individual and you even have a lick of common sense, you need to realize that this is not going to get us anywhere. Like I say, with the Maxine Waters situation and her, telling her supporters to push back and get a crowd around these conservative individuals. If they're at a gas station or restaurant, all she's doing is just fueling the flames. And then when the Oath Keepers and their thing with they wanted to protest her office and whatever, just fueling the flames. They're fighting fire with fire, and it's just not going to get anywhere. So I don't know what needs to happen to get this under control. I mean, we need to stop being so emotional, and we need to start thinking with our heads, and we need to bring more actual, real common sense back to the conversation instead of just having it be one big, huge shouting match. It's just, things have got to change, or it's just going to get worse, and nothing good is going to happen. And that's all. I mean, that's all I got for today, I guess. It's just so frustrating to me as somebody in the center who does not share the viewpoints of either side, or maybe doesn't quite share the extreme viewpoints, but can see some validity in some of it, and just don't see anything on other issues. There's no common ground, and it's just, like I say, I'm in the center. I can see some common ground, but there's a lot of it that I don't have anything in common with between these two parties, and it's just so dumb. And yeah, I gotta stop here before I completely lose my mind. So that's it for today.